So today I'm joined by a good friend of mine all the way over in Dubai, Gautam Ganglani. Hi, Gautam. How are you?
Absolutely great, Jamie. Pleasure to be with you here today.
So we met, it'll be 11 months ago when a mutual friend of ours, Vic Kadusek, introduced us digitally online. And then in person, we met on board the very nice QE2 cruise ship.
Yes, we did. Yes.
And we were talking the other day about how quick that's gone by. So we met at. I'll be honest, I was winging it. So you might not have realised, but I came out to Dubai a year ago, and I had this idea that I get a few people together for coffee. That turned into 60 people booking to come to that first event, and I'd promoted it as I'll buy coffee. So it was a free event for people. It cost me 1,100. What's that? That's over 5,000 dirham
Dirhams, correct.
for the event. But it was a fantastic success. And you said to me, Jamie, this is brilliant. You should definitely run something like this on a monthly basis.
Yes, I did. I recall that. The energy was just phenomenal. You know, as you said, 60 people there. When you least expected it, you were looking at 20, 30 people.
I'll be honest.
It was an expensive coffee, but in hindsight, I look at it as a wonderful investment. You know, you took a leap of faith and said, I want to organize a coffee, invite people in a place that I'm sort of visiting in this context for the first time. Let me just send out an invite. And you had that abundance mindset, that givers gain mindset to invite people warmly on the QE2 ship, and 60 people showed up. So that was your pilot, and said, we are interested in being a part of whatever you're creating, Jamie. So I think, in hindsight, it was a good leap of faith.
It's not a strategy that I would recommend to people, though. I think that's the perfect segue into your business and what you do. So that was in October. Then January 2025, we ran a conference on board the QE2 again, and we were very lucky to have you speaking at the event. And you run a workshop based on Breaking Bread, which is the book that you've written. So just before we go into any other detail, just tell us a little bit about the book.
Sure. So Breaking Bread, and the subtitle is Building Meaningful Relationships for Long-Lasting Success. Traditionally, breaking bread is always about having breakfast, lunch, or dinner with someone, where you sort of have an emotional engagement over a meal that goes beyond the formal setting of a structured meeting. And that's the simplistic part of breaking bread. A little bit more elaborate. It goes into an emotional communication with every time you communicate with a family member, a friend, a customer. And that is breaking bread, where you go over and beyond just the basic transactional conversation.
Yeah. And I think in this modern world, it's so easy for people to skip that fundamental process that people have done for thousands of years, and sitting down to eating together with friends and family, to now having TV dinners, eating at different times, takeaway meals, eating on the go, rather than just taking some time out to have quality conversations over food.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely. The old saying was, families that eat together stay together. To me, I say teams that eat together stay together. So ultimately, there's a connection between food, people, and relationships.
So I remember the noise over lunch. So you and I spoke before the event and brainstormed doing something a little bit different, and that you ran effectively a workshop that lunch was an integral part of it.
Yes.
Just to explain what we did.
So yeah, I was given, a good 30-minute slot to sort of deliver a keynote come masterclass on the topic of my book, Breaking Bread. And I actually acknowledge and appreciate, you said, we could place this any time of the day, but knowing what I know of you, Gautam, and what I know of the content you're going to share, let's share this just before lunch. And that's exactly what we did. It was in the schedule just before lunch. And I raised the awareness of the opportunity that each one of us has when you attend an event, whether it's internal or external, that lunch is not just about the food. It's a wonderful opportunity for you as an individual, as a delegate, as a person, to connect with other people over a meal. And that is exactly the experience that we had. We delivered the keynote. I gave 5 strategies to how to break bread. and gave everyone a copy of my book, and subsequently says, I invite you now to use what you've heard from this strategy and apply it immediately during this lunch break and sit with people you don't know and engage in meaningful conversations over a meal. The noise was electrifying,
It was
as we
definite.
saw.
So we knew it had worked because it was so loud over lunch. And
Yes,
one of the things we wanted to avoid was, you and I are both involved in events. There is more than ever, with the rise of mobile phones and smartphones, and people probably feeling less connected than ever, that when they go to an event or a conference, that to avoid that awkwardness of having to speak to strangers, people just use the "I'm really busy" and they pick up their phones to look busy and will mindlessly scroll rather than having conversations with people. And I think that they miss out on one of the key elements of going to an event is conversations over lunch.
that's correct. That's correct, Jamie. It's a missed opportunity by most people. I see people, just going into a quiet space, eating their meal, and then taking a walk, checking their mobile phones, eating food with mobile in one hand, fork in the other. I've seen it time and time and time again. So, um, to me, that was just a great example of people breaking bread and making most of, a good quality meal and a meaningful conversation.
I agree. So, in hindsight, the two events that we've just been talking about, the first one and the second one, I should have probably had deeper conversations with you in advance and drawn on your 30 years of experience in organizing events. So let's give that some context. So just take us back to the business that you're involved in and what you do.
Sure, Jamie. I mean, our organization by the name of Right Selection, Global Thought Leaders, it's a father and son family business. And, we started with the grassroots of a business bookstore. And that was because my dad always had a passion for reading books, nonfiction books that added meaning to his life, that helped him become a better father, better brother, better son, better human being, and ultimately a better leader and better entrepreneur. And that's what his connection was with nonfiction books. The authors like Stephen Covey, Marshall Goldsmith, Wayne Dyer, Brian Tracy, to name a few. And these books really helped my dad evolve as a wonderful human being with a big heart, and help someone people would be drawn to have a conversation for his wisdom and for his calm personality, and all came from reading and embracing the knowledge from these great books. And that's where he said, I want to open a bookstore where I help transform lives, transform leaders, make a difference in people's lives. And that was the foundation of the bookstore back in 1993. I joined Dad in 95. I wasn't a big reader, in all honesty. I read a lot more now than I did then, which is probably reverse for most people read a lot more in their childhood and read. But I actually now have a habit of reading. But it was more about what form of learning. Some people listen to podcasts. Some people watch YouTube videos. It's all about cultivating a habit of learning in whichever form resonates with you. And we know that everyone would have different learning styles. So going back to the business, it evolved from a bookstore helping companies build a library. For 10 years, that was the core business. We then said, as my dad and I always says, what next? Or what new value can we bring the people who we know, as in our customers, our loyal fans, if we can call them that. Ken Blanchard called them raving fans, our loyal clients. And we said, okay, let's bring audios in. And, some people prefer to listen to audio, so let's bring videos in. And that was where it grew from books to audios to videos. And then the next one was bringing the authors of books for live events. And everyone said, but Gautam, you're going to events. Which authors will you bring? I said, well, it might sound very obvious, but my market research is if the books are popular, that means there's an emotional connect to that author, to his content, and it's helped people in their lives. It's not a fiction book that they're reading cover to cover. This is a book which has helped people. And through word of mouth, more people have bought the book. So if we bring the author of a popular book, that was the start of our events business. And there was a gentleman called Ron Kaufman who wrote the book Uplifting Service. And his books were phenomenally doing well in the Middle East. And he was one of our first speakers that we brought out. And from then it grew on to the Jack Canfields and Brian Tracy's and Stephen Covey's and Tony Buzan. And that's where the events business grew, and hosting over hundreds of events in the region.
That's like a who's who of the personal development industry, isn't it?
Yeah, very. Yeah, it is absolutely. These are people I would just look up to, like, oh my God, I'm actually hosting them for a live event. They've had a meal, they've broken bread with me and my family today, and I'm like, wow. So abundantly grateful to have been in a business that impacts people's lives, but above all, to me, really grateful to have had personal and professional time with some of these legends, gurus, thought leaders.
I love it. And I enjoy speaking to you because it's nice to pick the brains of someone and find out a bit more about what you've taken from these books and how it's impacted you. But the business now has evolved, and you've recently moved back to Dubai. Why the
Yes.
move?
Well, to me, Dubai is a central part of the entire world in that sense. If I sometimes think, if you put Australia on the map and the US, Dubai is very centrally located, like 14 hours either way. The world is everyone's a global business sort of space in that sense. So Dubai is a wonderful melting pot of all the cultures. I was born and brought up in London, UK, so I'm familiar with the Western culture. I've spent time in India and now in the Middle East for many, many years. And great for education, hospitality, and events. It's not just company events or regional events. It draws people from all over the world to host their conferences. So the industry of events across the Gulf region are just in a growth path because every organization wants hosting an event, just like you host from the UK, but you're hosting your other global event here in Dubai. So that speaks for itself that it's a wonderful melting pot of all the cultures in one place, um, and a hunger for events, not only the education event, the entertainment, the who's who of the music industry of coming to the region, of Bollywood, of Hollywood. So to me, Dubai is a magnet for making things happen. They've got visionary leaders, ambitious leaders, and they certainly make things happen in this part of the world.
I agree. The everything. I think there's an outsider's perspective of Dubai, and then there's the experience of living there. And you said something that hit home to me earlier this year. Um, Live locally, think globally. So Dubai, I think, is an amazing place to live, and it's safe. It's clean. There's
Yes,
access to everything that you want within a very confined space.
correct.
Apart from the heat during the summer, that's the only that's the only downside. It's very hot during the summer, but it's a great place to live and work and be based from. And then, if you can do, why not do business internationally?
Yep, yep. Live locally, earn globally.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
no, absolutely. I mean, people live in Dubai, but as you said, it's clean, it's safe, it's great for families. Um, business runs smoothly. They make it very easy to set up, to run your business, and what stops you from doing business globally? And in fact, in COVID times, it encouraged people to connect with people internationally and virtually, just as we are here. I'm in Dubai, you're in the UK, and we're having a meaningful conversation, which only makes the time we meet in person even more valuable because we've maintained the relationship. It's not waiting till we meet. And that's the world we live in, that you can really be a global citizen and choose your place of home, which for me is Dubai.
I like it. I do like my time in Dubai. So, given that we started off with my winging it approach to running an event in Dubai, and you've had experience in helping people with hundreds of events during your career. What's the value add that you bring to people? So somebody might come to you and go, Gotham, I need a speaker for this event. It doesn't just stop there with a recommendation of a speaker, does it?
No, not at all. Even in the speaker selection, I really ask a lot of questions because there's no shortage of speakers that can add value to an event. So you really want to understand where's the event. You want to understand the audience profile. You want to understand the theme of the event. You want to understand what's the outcome that the company or the client would like to have from the event, because everyone has a different outcome they look for from an event. And then ultimately, everyone has a different budget. And there are solutions to every scenario. But what we want to really nail on is recommending them, based on a good brief, recommending the right speaker. And then, as I've shared with you, one of our clients, asked me as many do actually, about other areas of running their event and ask my perspective based on my experience. And, whether it's the light and sound, whether it's the venue choice, whether it's the touch points in an experience. In fact, one of our speakers, Ron Kaufman, when we went through the touch points of an event, we realized there's over 25 touch points in an event. We think, oh, it's the venue, the air conditioning, the light, the sound, the speaker, the food. But there's so much more from the time they arrive at experience till they get into their car at the end of the day. Everything is a touch point. And so you want to have a dry run of walking through that entire experience from start to end. What happens when they arrive? What happens when they leave? What happens in the breaks? What's the seating? All these touch points. And so I'm happy to share from my, event experience of, hundreds of events, share some of those insights. And people say, Gautam, I look at you as a trusted advisor, because whilst we're engaging you primarily to book a speaker or an MC or sometimes an executive coach for our leaders, your guidance, experience, intuition on small touch points, but they have a lot more impact on the outcome. And we realize that a lot later. And, that's where I come in.
I'm a big believer that an event is more than just the day of the event.
Absolutely.
What do you see that people do well to help people before, during, and after an event?
Yeah, I mean, I think before an event, from the time you book for an event, whether you're invited as a guest or it's a registered paid event, is, you want to build up the excitement towards the event. You want to first make sure it's a priority on everyone's busy calendars. People are busy personally and professionally. So when a date is set, even if they're registered, you want to provide them. We're looking forward to seeing you at the upcoming event a month from now. And here's a short video from one of the speakers that I invite you to enjoy. Now, that speaker says, "Hi, my name is Jamie, and I'm looking forward to the Circle Connect an event coming up in Dubai. And we're not going to only speak about this and this. In the lunch break, there's going to be an opportunity to break bread with 3 different people, or you're going to go away with this." From the event. Our goal is to facilitate opportunities way beyond the event. So now just a short 30-second video I've watched of Jamie's upcoming event just keeps my excitement and emotion alive. So if you have something happening once a week in a build-up, that's a great way to build up the excitement. It's like a movie or a concert. Suddenly you hear these songs relating to a music event you're going to, and suddenly you're like, oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And you build up the excitement. Same for a movie. I'm like, you see a trailer and you're like, oh, I've got to watch this movie. And that happens, you don't go for every movie. If the trailer is a good trailer, you're going to go for the movie. In this case, that's the build up pre-event. During the event, I always like to engage people with what next. They want to leave with an action plan if it's a learning event. Like, what action? Like, please write down before we leave today, what are 3 takeaways you're gonna do, and who are you going to meet after this event? Now, the moment you put pen to paper, it's not just a feeling emotionally of, I feel good, great event. No, what did you learn from Jamie's keynote today? I learned the power of saying thank you. I learned the power of how are you, and the power of focused conversations with a few people is an example. Write that down. I met someone at lunch. I'm going to do a follow-up email to these 3 people. Now, the moment you take action after the event, you're creating new value that will connect in your brain that thanks to Jamie's event, I met with these 3 people. Out of one of them is a customer, one of them is a dear friend. I'm going to be like, thanks to Jamie, I've got a great friend who I play paddle with. Thanks to Jamie, I now have a new customer in a brand new market I never imagined I could have. So that's where conversations beyond the event are still acknowledging what you created in that experience as an event organizer.
It's easy. I think a lot of people have this mindset. So there's 2, isn't there? There's one as a delegate and there's one as the organizer. So the organizer you've just covered before, building up to it, on the day, adding value, and then what do they take away and do afterwards? We have a role as a delegate, though, when we go into an event, to make the most of that. And that was part of the Breaking Bread thing that we had at our Circle Networks Live in January, was to give people a bit of a framework for what to do during lunch and a bit of a guide. They have to participate. So I think that a lot of people go, I've booked my ticket, I'll turn up on the day. And then they sit there sit there and just have information kind of thrown at them a little bit and expect for something magic to happen. And then they go away and go, yeah, it was all right. And then there's other people that might reach out to the speakers beforehand, start commenting on their social media. Oh, Gautam, I saw that you're going to be speaking at this event. I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage. They might tag some other people in it. They might speak to the event, and this doesn't happen very often. They might speak to the event host and say, have you got anything that I can share about this event? Someone's just done it for me. So Jenny Gordon wrote a post, unprovoked, wrote a post about our next Circle Networks Live next month, this month, in fact. And somebody booked a ticket directly as a result of her doing a post. And then she messaged me to say, I did this post. This person's just told me that they've booked. That is the exception rather than the rule, I find, with events.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, and it reminds me of something now I do, it's as a habit actually since many years, and it just comes upon me because of this conversation, is that tomorrow I'm attending a large retail conference which has 30 phenomenal speakers who are actually CEOs or CHROs of major companies. And a week back, I did a personalized message through LinkedIn to all 30 of them, very contextual to what they're going to be speaking about at tomorrow's landmark event. And I counted this morning, 14 of the 30 have replied me. Thanks for your message. And none of them know me. Let me just say that. None of them, maybe two, but know of me, but they don't know me personally. And 14 out of 30 people who don't know me have replied me. Thank you for your personal message. Looking forward to meeting with you personally tomorrow at the event. Now, there are 350 people there. When they see me, who they don't know, and they remember that message, I'm going to thank you, acknowledge those 14 people now as well. And because it's fresh in their inbox, and they're going to say that see you tomorrow. And I'll have some of my books perhaps with me. And if I meet them, I'll give them a copy of my book. These are CEOs of major companies. I've acknowledged the value they're going to provide by speaking on stage at this event. I've got a reply, I'm acknowledging the reply, and then they give them a copy of the book. Business or no business, I'm top of mind, and that's breaking bread without having a meal with them because you've emotionally connected. And, that's a great example.
You must see it quite often where people don't do anything in the run up to the event, sit there quite passively until a speaker's been on stage, and then they're just part of the crowd afterwards of people that huddle around them. And then if I'm that speaker, I wish, if I'm that speaker that's got 10, 20, 30 people, you're not going to remember any of those people really afterwards, are you? Apart from Gautam, who sent you a message beforehand and started the relationship building before the event.
Yeah. Take a photo with the speaker at the event. Do a LinkedIn post-event, my greatest learning lessons from the retail conference, and tag those 3, 4, 5 speakers that you write about. I mean, you've then put them on a pedestal, acknowledged and appreciated them genuinely, authentically, sincerely, that my biggest takeaway from so-and-so's keynote was this. I look forward to more events. Now, whenever you connect with that person at any time or meet them, you're going to be pretty much in their minds for acknowledgement and appreciation, and that means you also listened in on their events, which also is an indirect compliment that this was my takeaway.
Exactly. And not just the speakers, the organizers, because sometimes the organizers aren't the face of the events.
Yeah.
So it's important to build a relationship with those people. And the same with in-person, any kind of in-person event. I encourage people to arrive early and help with the setup. Now, you wouldn't do that necessarily with a conference, but smaller, more intimate events.
Absolutely.
Makes a real impression. So I teach people to act like a host. So turn up. If it was your event, Gautam, nice to meet you. I'm Jamie. What can I do to help? Do you need any help setting up? Can I make teas and coffees for anybody? What can I do to help? And that goes a long way in making the right impression.
Yeah. I actually do that in my personal life. My wife and me turn up on time for a dinner invite, whether it's a small or large gathering, because the first 30 minutes you actually have exclusive time with the hosts. And that conversation in a party of 20, 30, 40, 50, or even 100 people is never forgotten. It also allows me to leave a party early if I want to without getting missed, because I made those, some of these events could be long or late. And to me, I like to make that first 15, 20 minutes with the host of an event or a social event and make it memorable. Whereas everyone else during the rest, you're seeing a lot of highs, how are yous, and no conversation. So you connected with 30 people, but you actually, how many did you have a conversation with? It may be like 3 or 4. And did you make time for the host? So to me, as meeting the organizers tomorrow is a first step for me, and acknowledging them for putting on the event. That's a given. It will just happen automatically. So yeah.
Love it. Okay. Top tip for somebody after an event then. So we've covered what to do beforehand. We've covered what to do at the event. What should people do afterwards as an organizer and then as a delegate?
As an organizer of the event, I always like to send a message to everyone within 24 hours to them, which is to thank them for their valuable time to be at the event, or even if people are coming for an event. And if you have photographs from the event, then you also share a link with the photographs. If that's linked to social media, there's another opportunity to say, I've just shared this post on social media with a photograph, invite them to like and comment and share their biggest learning. Because when they like, comment, and share a learning, that post then is being seen by a lot more people who weren't at the event. So that is a two-way thing of acknowledgement, appreciation, and sort of amplifying that. Um, and then, yes, if there's any takeaways like executive summaries, like slides and other things, I probably leave that another few days and send that as well. So I try to say, what can I send immediately? And maybe 3, 5, and max 7 days later, because as things start to wear out, you again want to keep that emotion high of the audience. So for at least minimum a week, you've got them engaged with an appreciation, photographs, and maybe some content. That would what we do as a conference organizer. And if you're doing something, and again, a month later or a quarter later, then share a link to the next event. We'd look forward to welcome you back at our next event. Or if you'd like to subscribe to our monthly newsletter and receive updates of similar events that you'd like to attend, or you have friends you'd like to share it with, then, that's the kind of conversations that happen. Sounds
Okay.
obvious, but sometimes people don't even do
You're
it.
right. You're right. Because there's so much goes into organizing it, booking it, delivering it. And then I've experienced people go, oh, I haven't thought about the follow-up.
Yeah. And you got to plan that in advance. It's part of your script. As an organizer, it's like my events next month. I'm already thinking, what am I doing from the first day to the 30th day after the event? And people are like, after the event? I mean, yeah, okay, a thank you email I get, but 30 days after? I mean, I said, how you communicate after the event to keep the energy, emotion alive will help potential business collaborations, connections for months ahead, if not years ahead. Otherwise, it was just an event and they're on to the next one. They've forgotten about yours.
And then what about delegates?
For me, I look at it when I attend as a delegate, I look at two things, my learnings and my connections. And so for me, what can I learn that I can apply in my personal or professional life, and commit to at least one new thing? Because even one, sometimes you overcomplicate it with too many ideas. I like, just give me one idea, because one idea can change my life. But if nothing else, one idea will improve my life in some way, personally or professionally. So I like to always have a page where I call ideas for action. And so whatever notes I've taken, there could be a lot of notes or highlights of notes and books and other things. And then I put the ideas for action there, and I like, what am I applying now, like immediately? And what can I apply later? And if I have an accountability partner, I share my future action points so they can sort of check in with me. I'm part of a mastermind group, so they also check in with me that, Gautam, you said you're doing these 3 things in this month. Have you done them? Yes, great. If not, why? So in a friendly, tough love manner. So that's the learning side. And connections, yeah, I have a habit. I will do a personalized message to anybody I've had a conversation with on LinkedIn and on email. So at least they're consuming my future content. I'm connecting with them, and who knows what came up in that conversation. So that, to me, makes sure whenever they meet me, I remain and make sure it's memorable.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a plan and you repeat.
Repeat, repeat, repeat. Yeah, it's automatic now. To be honest, if I think of it, it's good that it comes out in conversations like these, Jamie. And I'm like, I actually don't think about it, because as you develop good habits and you say repeat, repeat, it becomes a habit. And then if it's a good habit, it's there, a part of you. Like, if other people are sometimes alien, they're like, really? And that's come out in coaching. When you coach entrepreneurs and you realize that how many are successful they are and they don't have these habits. So when they're aware of these habits, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I see this can add even more value, even more loyalty, can help me with growth, can help me solve problems. And it's not about business. I mean, to me, if I can connect with someone that can help you, Jamie, or help another friend, that excites me just as much, because my dad always said the most important bank account is not how much money you have, because that's a different topic where money comes and goes in life. But he said the most important bank account is your emotional bank account. What emotional bank account do you have with your network of friends, family, and clients? And are you seen as someone who's helpful, kind, generous, abundance, giving, or are you seen as someone who's hunting and looking for business and transactional? And to me, I just love helping people, and that's a passion: helping people, connecting people, bringing joy to people, because I know I can pick up the phone to most people in my network and ask for advice, help, or a connection with full confidence, because they're like, Gautam, how can I help you? Please call me. And it's because you're just constantly seeing how you can help enough people. And that's really important. Go from the place of curiosity, serving and contributing and collaborating, rather than, what's in it for me kind of mindset.
I like it. Okay, so if you're listening to this, if you're an event organizer, maybe play it back and take some notes about what you could be doing before, during, and after an event. And if you go to events, what are the habits that you need to put in place so that you do these things automatically? And habits aren't built in an instant. We have to make a decision to do these and then work on them so that it becomes something that we just do automatically. Gautam, if somebody wants to find out more about you and your business, where is the best place for them to do that?
There are three places depending on your interest. So if you'd like to get to know me personally, then, LinkedIn is a great place to get to know me, connect with me, engage with me. I share my experiences personally and professionally on LinkedIn. So that's one great place. I have a personal website, which is revolving around the philosophy of breaking bread, which is called, it's based on my name, GautamGanglani.com. So that would be in that space. And from a business standpoint, if you're an event planner or an HR leader or a business leader, a corporate leader, and you're looking to connect with someone who has 25 years of experience, then rightselection.com would give you an experience of the kind of way we can add value, contribute, and collaborate for your next event.
Why would you not want to speak to somebody with a wealth of experience like that? It just makes sense, doesn't it?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Every time we speak, I take away a nugget of something that I'm going to do differently going forward, and it makes a real difference. So I'm going to enjoy listening back to this so that I can take notes on it properly and work on improving our event. So thank you very much, Gautam.
It's been an absolute pleasure, Jamie. Thank you. And looking forward to your next event.
All right, I'll see you soon.